In this video, I'm going to talk about the shift away from the focus on pain and what benefits that can give. Hi, my name is Drew Coverdale. I'm a physiotherapist and author of The Pain Habit. I talk about all things pain and I help patients change and let go of their persistent pain. If you're new to this channel, click on the subscribe button to stay up to date with all things pain, helping patients to change and let go of their persistent pain. Look out for any of the links in the description below for anything that's mentioned in this video. So today we're going to look at a shift away from the focus on pain and the benefits that can have to patients and therapists in changing their experience of pain. Many of the approaches to persistent pain are barking up the wrong tree. They're well-intentioned and they're well-meaning and they're partially well-targeted, but only partially. The fact that the sites of the treatment are not set correctly means that treatment can never be as effective as it would be if it was finely tuned on the correct target and the correct cause of someone's pain. Temporary relief comes with loads of treatments, short-lived treatments, but sometimes there's no relief at all with persistent pain. Often patients in persistent pain have seen the best medical practitioners they can find and the best alternative practitioners they can find, and often they're left with no permanent answer to their problem. Despite seeing all those people, they're still in pain. All of these people they meet, they're undoubtedly well trained in their field and doing the very best to help. I've been one of them, and although there's lots of recovery stories that I can recount for people, mostly with persistent pain, they were failed ones. I understood what I understood, but the thing is, I didn't know what I didn't know. When someone offers you an idea that contradicts what you truly believe, it's easy to feel resistance and push back against that, especially as a clinician when you're trained in conventional universities and colleges with a certain mode of thinking. If an idea sounds too outlandish or without evidence, then it's natural to feel that resistance. If that's the idea for trained professionals, then what must it be like for patients hearing about new ideas? Patients place their trust in medical practitioners to find the answer for them when they can't find it themselves. When that system or the methods within it don't work and the results are poor or ineffective over the long term, they're often left having to live with the residual effects of their ongoing pain. That might be with pills, pacing activities, having to accept the life-changing effects of that pain that they're experiencing, and with that resignation that nothing further can be done for them. Their life of persistent pain is there to stay. However, when you realise that the focus of their treatment or treatments was only partially correct, focusing on only part of their overall problem, you can see why it would only ever temporarily work or never work at all. And you can see the failings of even attempting those kind of approaches. Yes, it's natural to focus on the area of the pain, but it's the generation of that pain that should be the real focus. That's where the answer lies. The illusion that the site of the pain alone, it's an old model of thinking, but it still exists in the modern healthcare systems. But actually that's one of its biggest failings. When the approaches of that medical paradigm fail, the remaining pains are managed with pills and potions to block the remaining sensations that the patient's experiencing, because that medical system couldn't work out the true meaning of that pain. Now, as long as they know that's not going to kill the person, they shrug their shoulders and say, well, just take these pills to block it. This represents an abject failure of that medical care system. Acknowledging the presence of pain, its location, its existence, and the relevant contributory pathology of changes that may be there, or around there, or under that area of skin are relevant. And looking for any potential sinister cause of that. All these things should be at the forefront of assessment of anyone's pain. But that should never allow blind ignorance to develop for the true cause of that pain. And currently, the wrong focus does exactly that. Who would believe that knowledge creates ignorance? But that's exactly what it does when our training simply funnels us into looking down to only one cause of physical pain and that's the physical element we can find. If you can't find a physical element, the patient's quite often left with the impression and the feeling that they're being told that it's in the head. So many schools, colleges, universities, training programs start with the technical justification for that as a starting point. It's dogma that works to a certain point until the pain doesn't respond to the treatment that was given based on the structural viewpoint that was taken as its origin. And that viewpoint is that the pain is physical. They'll look for a physical cause. They'll eventually find a physical element and say that's the cause. They'll treat that, a pill with an injection, they'll cut it out. And when the pain remains despite all that, and the person expected to manage that pain that remains. That's never to say that those approaches aren't helpful, because they absolutely are. It's just that people have funneled down those approaches far too quickly. When they're used and they're ineffective, it's very likely that the things that were found and treated were never actually the true cause of that person's pain. Fortunately, change is coming, bit by bit, clinician by clinician. Lorimer Moseley by Lorimer Moseley, Georgie Oldfield by Georgie Oldfield, and other people like them, pioneers in their field at recognising there's a different way to approach this. The shift started with a move away from pain equals damage and that it's only ever structure related. That point where a person is told that there's nothing further that can be done and they have to live with that pain. It moved to awareness of an understanding of the other things that can influence pain and looking at the science behind that. It progressed to translating that science into applicable treatment programs that can help patients in persistent pain reverse the process completely, whether that's one session, 3 months, 6 months or a year or longer, it doesn't matter. It's just showing people that now it is possible. Patients in persistent pain can completely let go of it. It isn't a quick shift in terms of understanding this or changing that belief. Firstly, in the medical community, because of the length of time that people have held those beliefs. And then in the patient population, that belief is reinforced by the medical population that repeat the old stories. Shifting beliefs in populations takes time. Historically, people used to believe the world was flat. It took hundreds of years before people started to think the world was round. They used to execute people who would even suggest such a thing. Ironically, there's now people who think the world's flat. Fortunately, we don't execute them anymore. We're all entitled to opinion based on the evidence. And the evidence now is pointing to really good success with patients in persistent pain. If they're ready to take the steps, if the clinician supporting them understands that it's possible and can translate that understanding into easy, achievable steps for the patient that they help guiding towards recovery. But it's the patient that does it themselves. It took me as an experienced clinician, having seen thousands and thousands of patients over the years, a real effort to look at myself and my beliefs to see if I could change my perspective for this patient group that really weren't getting satisfactory results for them or me. I had to ask if I could change my belief to see if I could help get a different result with them, for them, that everyone feels a sense of reward for achieving. I have to say it wasn't easy, but when I changed my focus on the location of pain and I got out of my own way, some of the old beliefs that I held and resisted changing, I started to change the way I looked at this patient group and started to look at what was really possible for them. I realised that the fear that was holding me back from changing my viewpoint was actually the excitement that could come from investigating new treatment approaches that could help patients in this client group. There are so many treatment approaches now looking to end persistent pain and not manage it. The thoughts, movements, feelings and emotions that become the plethora of cues that trigger persistent pain are now being unpicked and giving people opportunity to recover. The future is bright and exciting. The pain habit is part of that exciting and bright future. The overall changes are likely to take longer than I'll have left in my career, but I am so blessed that I've had the opportunity to start to see that change to influence it and to be part of so many persistent pain pathways to recovery in patients previously being resigned to a life in pain, now becoming pain-free. It is such an amazing experience that I encourage you to join the party. Therapists and patients need not accept that persistent pain needs to be managed. That should never be the goal. If that's too hard for you to accept, then ask yourself, what beliefs do you hold that makes that so difficult for you to consider? And ask yourself, would you be open at any point to consider changing those beliefs? I have to say my first answer to that question was no. And if I'm really honest, if I asked myself a few times, it was no, no, and no. For several times, for several years. But thankfully something captured my attention and sparked an interest in this field that has gone on to help me so much in my own life and subsequently helped so many other patients in persistent pain recover. The beliefs that we hold that create our viewpoint are often so deep that we don't know where to look to find them and change them. Whether you're a patient or a therapist, it is absolutely worth the search, because all the new habits that follow a belief change feel effortless. It sets you free, and if you really think carefully about it, it sets you pain free. If you're really interested in digging deeper into this, then read the Pain Habit book, available on Amazon from the 1st of January 2021. Subscribe to the Pain Habit blog or join the private Facebook Pain Habit Recovery group, where you can get more insights into recovery approaches and you can understand more. My name's Stu Coverdale. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Now take a little bit more time for yourself to plan the next step in your recovery.